my dad was very, what he felt to be tolerant. And my sisters and I had to say Negro. And we had to be polite and kind. We didn't know any children because they went to a different school. But my dad once took me to the colored church. The colored women that worked there sometimes had their kids, and we would play with them. And we called them pickaninnies. And they had their hair, in a dozen little braids sticking out from their head. But I don't recall that we really knew their names. We might have, but I don't remember that now. But we used to have a little jump rope thing. This sounds terrible. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a nigger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. I mean, we'd say that on the playground. Well, I think I just had two different people. One was Mamie, and she was your typical cook, household maid, like from Gone with the Wind, Mamie. I mean, she was the dearest person in the world. I was trying to think. I think it must have been the summer of 1964. We felt that they targeted our community because of the fact that there were so many people who were Yankees and outsiders, and that it might be a good place for them to do that. And they marched weekly for a long while through the town, and there were helicopters overhead. It was a winding road, and my house was about a half a block from it. And the people who lived on the corner was Paul's boss at the mill, and they had bullets through their house, shot through their house in one of the marches. The other thing I remember, and this may not be accurate information at all because it was kind of uncertain, but they had a group of black men called the Deacons of Defense who were organized to just defend their people so they would have some recourse, I guess. And I don't know for sure, but I think a lot of them were taxi drivers who would make sure that people got back and forth to work safely. My husband ran for city council. And then while they were electioneering, I guess they were campaigning, he was moved to Camas, Washington, across the river here. And he always felt that somebody may have thought it would be better if he were not on the council and to get him out of town. I don't know. I don't know that I have any black friends. When I first came up to this area, I really missed having black people around. As I said, they're like the oil that smooths things out. Their voices are soft and gentle. By and large, around white people, they acted happy. And they always added a lot of charm to any area where they were. And on the streets, it was kind of nice to have them around. I have a lot of sympathy and understanding for people who are in a minority, or even who are in a majority and they're not sure what their friends think. That's kind of touchy. And I think that I myself did not talk very freely after all this trouble started. I don't think Paul was intimidated, and especially with that committee that he was on, where they had a safe place to talk. That I think, well, I mean, that's just what I think about my husband. I think he would have stood up for what he thought was right, no matter what. I think I'm a bit of a wimp, and I'm not sure that I would have done that. These freedom riders, they weren't tacky people. They weren't dirty. They weren't unkempt. They were nice-looking college-age kids. In high school. They were nice-looking kids. They were well-behaved. They were well-groomed. And people just manhandled them, kicked them, just threw them in the back of these vans or trucks or whatever they were to take them to jail. Horribly beaten. I mean, I don't think I would have put myself on the line like that. If I'd known, that that's what might have taken place. I don't think I would have had the courage to do that. That needed repair. And so I took it to a little shop down underneath where we lived, down the street a little ways. And we were between Broadway and Riverside Drive, this place that housed women. I think it's like 7 or 8 floors. Anyway, I went to this little shop to get my radio repaired, and there was a black man. And so when I left, I said something like, "Thank you, sir," which was just a habit with me. We always said sir and ma'am. And he said, "What'd you say?" And I said, "Thank you, sir." He said, "That's the first time anyone ever said sir to me." Wow. Also, the streets weren't very clean. Nobody's yards were very well kept. Bogalusa had been famous for its gardens and the azaleas and rhododendrons and the huge trees that grew together over the street. And, nobody had anyone to do that work anymore because they were off with better jobs and college.